Hi everyone, it's Mr. Lavasser. We have a language analysis lesson on science, in particular on magnetism. So you should have received the assignment either on Teams, through an email, or possibly on a Nearpod. Please take out that assignment now. And here's the assignment. Magnetic forces up top. And let's go over it together. The content topics are Introduction to Magnetism and Magnetic Forces. And the language acquisition topic is Functional Language Analysis, and I should put in vocabulary here as well. If you've clicked on this link, you're watching this video. And remember, you can start and stop this video as you work on the assignment. You can follow along with me as I do part of the assignment with you, and then you can stop and finish the part of that assignment on your own, and then start the video back up as I move forward and you move forward as well. So number one is our learning objectives, and they read, I can define magnetism as a force in nature that can attract, pull, or repel, push metals such as iron. I can analyze science text for process, the actions, key science terms, and definitions. I can recount scientific and factual information from a video lesson. And so section 2 is a reading assignment, and we'll be using analysis. We're going to annotate by highlighting. We're going to highlight for the processes, the actions. We're going to highlight for key words related to science, and also any definitions. We'll study this drawing of magnetic field lines, and then some of those terms that we underline or that we highlight with blue or definitions, we will note down the definitions of those terms. In section 4, there's a video, and then we'll answer some questions, or we'll make descriptions about certain things we see in the video. And finally, there's a matching assignment for vocabulary. So, instructions for section 2. Read and analyze the following paragraph. Highlight science terms with yellow, processes with pink, and definitions with blue. Discuss the text and the images in your group. So, even though it said yellow first, I'm going to start with pink. I'm going to start with the action words, or the processes, the verbs, however you like to call it. Verb is the kind of word. Processes are what those words do. So verbs show process or action. And so that's what we're looking for in this first thing. And remember from lessons before, is, are, has, and have are the 4 most common verbs or actions or processes found in science writing. So let's read this together. In science, a force is the push or pull of an object that causes the object to move or change direction. Magnetism is an example of a force. Magnetism can repel or attract objects that have a magnetic material like iron, nickel, or cobalt inside of them. Magnetic force is a property of certain metallic substances which pull closer or repel other objects. A magnet is a piece of iron whose atoms have the electron structure that give it the properties of magnetism. Magnets have a pole, a positive south pole, and a negative north pole. A magnet pole is a strongly charged area of the magnet. Oppositely charged poles attract, and like charged poles repel. For example, a north pole will attract a south pole, but a north pole will repel another north pole. Similarly, a south pole will repel another south pole, but will be attracted to a north pole. I'm just going to stop for a second and put in the word will. Because apparently I missed it. Okay, but will be. Attracted to a north pole. Around the magnet, there is a magnetic force, which is called a magnetic field. Magnetic field lines show the direction and the strength of a magnetic field. Magnetic field lines go from north to the south pole, and the closer the magnetic field lines are, the stronger the force. Study the magnetic field lines in the picture below. So now we've read that one time, and while we did that, we hit the action words, the processes, and I'm going to reread it. This time, I'm going to use yellow to indicate important vocabulary words. So in science, a force is a push or a pull on an object that causes the object to move and change direction. Magnetism is an example of a force. Magnetism can repel or attract. And repel is a pushing force, attraction is a pulling force. Objects that have magnetic material, like iron, nickel, or cobalt, all of those are magnetic material, iron, nickel, and cobalt. Those are all very science words. A magnetic force is a property. We talked about that. Property is another way of saying description or characteristic in science. Of certain metallic substances which pull closer or repel other objects. A magnet is a piece of iron whose atoms have the electron structure that give it the properties of magnetism. Magnets have a positive south pole and a negative north pole. A magnetic pole is a strongly charged area of the magnet. And I'm going to say charged is a science word. Oppositely charged poles attract, and like charged poles repel. For example, a north pole will attract a south pole, but a north pole will repel another north pole. Notice that I've added the plus for south because that's a positive side, and negative for north because that's the negative side. Similarly, well, I'm going to stop there and let you find some of the other science words and highlight them with yellow. I'm going to move on to light blue. Which is how I'm going to highlight any definitions. Okay. For example, in science, a force is the push or pull of an object that causes the object to move or change direction. That's the definition of force, and it's written right there in the text. Many science texts have definitions written right into them. And then here, repel, pushing force, attract, pulling force. A magnetic force is a property of certain metallic substances which pull closer or repel objects, is the definition of metallic force. A magnet is a piece of iron whose atoms have the electron structure that give it the properties of magnetism. And so there are other definitions in this text, and I'm going to let you highlight those yourself in blue. Okay. And here we see drawings. Here's a whole magnet, and you see that there's a flow of magnetic field, and we can see those lines. And in the video, you'll see an experiment where people have taken a magnet, put a piece of paper over it, and then shaken some dust, some iron filings, some iron dust, and you can actually see these lines. Here's a north and south pole, so they're attracted to one another, and you can see these lines here of attraction pulling the north and south together. And here we have two norths, and so they push against each other instead of one pulling and one pushing, so they're being drawn together. And so above here, you should have found all of these words defined. The definition of force, magnetism, magnetic field, magnet, and magnetic pole. In section 4, there's a short video, I believe it's 6 minutes long, and you can start and stop that video just as you're doing with this video. You can watch that video and then watch it again and start and stop if you'd like. So you're asked to describe the experiment, which shows people these magnetic field lines. They also talk about the Earth's core and the mantle being filled with iron and how that creates a magnetic force. And I'm asking you to discuss how they describe the Earth's core. And also there's a magnetic field because of the Earth's core and the magma. And those have a magnetic field around the Earth, and that is in a way protects us from radiation from the sun. And I want you to look that up and then describe it. And then at the very end here, we have a matching, vocabulary matching. So for example, we want to read all of the words. Let me read the directions to you. Instruction: review and learn these words. Take turns reading every word and every definition. Discuss the meaning of each word with your group. Match the vocabulary term with the correct definition. So what are the words? Force, magnetism, magnet, magnetic field lines, magnetic pole, attract, repel, Earth's core. So those are the vocabulary terms. And then you want to find the correct definition. For example, a force is something that pushes or pulls. So the push or pull on an object that causes the object to move or change direction. That is the definition of force. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to write in B, because that is the definition. Definition B is the definition of a force, and you can do the rest for all of these terms. And then finally, there's a little message here. Do the work correctly, learn the material. But not only is there a little message there for you, each one of these is a link to a different video on magnetism. So if you have extra time, this first one, there's no discussion, there's no words, it's all pictures, it's like a cartoon. And then they get progressively more difficult. The second one is really designed for, let's say, middle school. And then this third one is actually designed for high schoolers. And I think that many students will be able to actually enjoy that one as well if you've learned this message. So, thank you for your attention. If you have any questions on this assignment, you can ask your teachers. Good luck, and thank you for your attention.